Hey everyone, it's Domenica Escatel. I am so excited to have all of you here, whether you're listening or watching us. We have another session of La Tiendita Shopping Network. And before we dive in and I let you know who my guest is, I always like talking a little bit about why we're doing this. And just through COVID and the pandemic, I wanted to do something to help my fellow hermanas out, my sisters, and, take that action piece that sometimes, I feel like in social media, we put like, let's help here and let's help there, but that's where it stops. And so I wanted to go beyond that. And I know that in many of our communities, we do pop-ups and vendor events. And with the pandemic not being able to do any of that because we were quarantined and not being able to meet in person, I decided to do something virtual to highlight female founders that are like leaders and upcoming. And I just wanted to be able to have it just a conversation and let all of you meet them and know who they are. So you can follow them on social media and, get exposed to their products. And so we are just excited to have all of you here. And we're going to go ahead and dive into this conversation. I want you to meet my next guest. So let's bring her on the stage.
Hi.
All right. Hey, Melissa, thank you for being here so much. So everyone who is listening and watching, on the stage is Melissa Polanco. And I'm super excited to have her be my guest and our feature female founder for this series. And let's just go ahead and get to this conversation, amiga, because I really just want to learn a little bit more about you and what you do. So if you just want to go ahead and let our viewers and listeners know.
Hi, viewers. So my name is Melissa Polanco. I am the co-founder of a makeup brand called LSE Cosmetics, which I funded along with my sister, Lisa. Mm-hmm. It's a makeup brand that celebrates us. Like we when we first started thinking of, coming up with a makeup brand, we just noticed that there was like a lack of representation of Hispanic women and Latina women and just color. and even not only that, but also like brands founded by women, because most of the brands that you see like Stay Lauder and like big brands are just founded by men. And we wanted to just change the narrative. We wanted to be able to portray normal looking, just your everyday woman and also Latina women. And that's why we decided to found LSE Cosmetics.
I love that. And I know we're going to touch on this, Melissa. And I started my entrepreneur journey with a network marketing brand that I'm sure many people are familiar. And one of the things that stood out with me from this brand is that when I would put on the colors, they wouldn't be magnified. Like you can barely tell I had the makeup on because it was very much catered to a very fair, one demographic community. And so I love being able to speak to you today and let everyone know that your brand is here and that you exist, because that was one thing that was frustrating for me, was like how like I take a picture or I'm on camera and like I don't have makeup on even though I did,
Yeah.
So I'm excited to talk about that and about the colors and the shades and all that. But before we dive into a little bit about that, can you share a little bit about a fun fact that maybe not a lot of people know about you? Because one thing that I love sharing is that for me, I always say, next time you go to the grocery store, you're going to remember Domenica. And they're like, what do you mean? Grocery at the grocery store? And I said, yeah, go down this cereal aisle and pick up a box of Fruity Pebbles. And I dare you to have this cereal and cry. And they're like, why would I cry with Fruity Pebbles? And I said, no. I said, Fruity Pebbles is like a rainbow in a bowl. Like you cannot cry, right? So that's my fun fact, because I love Fruity Pebbles. There was one year that we had our county fair during the summer, and my phone was blowing up of people texting me and telling me, hey, Domenica, you got to get down to the fair. Guess what? there's this whole exhibit on Fruity Pebbles, the cereal. So I was like, see, I did my job, because that is the fun fact that everyone has remembered about me, that unless you know me and heard me share this, like, you wouldn't have known. And so I thought that was cool.
Yeah. I love Fruity Pebbles. So now every time I see a Fruity Pebbles when I'm in the aisle, then I'm going to remember you.
Right?
A fun fact, I guess it's not as fun.
Yeah.
But a fun fact is that, something interesting, I guess. I'm actually a licensed counselor, but I just don't practice. But I do have my license. I actually work in higher education. That's my day job. So I have LSE on the side. And I help out with counseling and advising sometimes. But I just work in like assistant admin people. Okay. But I guess that's my fun fact.
Yeah. Hey, that's good. I think, my background is in education. And so I did that. Yeah, I started out really young. I started working at a migrant labor camp. And it was a summer. It was it was during the summer. It was a work study program for school. And I thought, oh, yeah, that'd be so fun. And I had no idea. We had one so close by. And it was so fun, like the educational setting, like I studied that. But then, like I mentioned earlier, when I started dabbing into network marketing and got introduced to being an entrepreneur and what that meant, I fell in love with it and haven't looked back since. So I totally get it. You have to, do the 8 to 5 and do the side hustle thing, and really kind of convert and work hard to make your passion, full time.
Yeah. But, just to piggyback on that, when we started this brand, it was not something planned. It was not something that I really wanted. Like, I ever thought, oh, I want to have my own makeup. It was just like, and I never saw myself as an entrepreneur either, because I just went to college and this is what I wanted to do. And then there was like a couple of years that I felt like, I don't know, like there's something missing. And, and then I just started watching YouTube a few years back. Like I started watching and I got into makeup a lot. I'm like obsessed with it. And then, but also it was through makeup that I learned how to love my features, because one of the things, first of all, I'm a very shy person. I'm very reserved and very quiet. And having this brand actually has helped me build my confidence up a little bit. And then also talking about confidence and just sharing my story with confidence. And I always say that it was through the power of color that I learned to love myself. So, I think, this brand just helped me just get myself out of my little bubble and just, give myself to the world and just share my gift.
No, I love that. I absolutely love that, because I have to say that I definitely can relate to that, because I'm a complete introvert. Like, people now, when they see me and they see the presence that I've kind of built on social media, it's not a mega presence, but definitely, my community has paid attention. And they're like, Domenica, you are not an introvert. And I'm like, yes, I am. Yes, I am. But it's just the passion that brings it out of me, right? Because you get excited. Like, that's one thing that I always feel like, when I get the question asked, like, well, how do you really figure out if something is your passion? And it's like, you light up, like, even your body language changes, your tone, you get excited.
Yeah.
And I have to say that with makeup, that's completely the gift that it gave me, was that self-confidence and kind of breaking away from that shyness. So I can relate.
Oh yeah. Like, yeah, I don't know if let me see if you can see it, like if you can see this little birthmark that I have here. So when growing up, I was so self-conscious about it, like a lot. And then, because it was just in my face, it was just in my face. I'm like, why do I have this? Why couldn't I have, be hidden like somewhere where you can't see it? And then because I was younger, then I would see it bigger than what it is. Cause like sometimes I just forget I have it. And I just started to covering up with foundation, and that way it's not as visible. And then I said, well, why why am I doing this? Like, I did it for a couple of years because I was still young. You know, when you're young, you're still learning who you are and all this stuff. And then a couple of years went by, and that's when I started questioning myself, like, why am I doing this? Like, it doesn't matter. I just, everybody's different. Everybody has different beauty attributes, and like, why can I not love myself the way I am? And that's how I started like building my confidence.
Right. No, I love that. And I think that, depending on what color, one thing that I love, depending on the name is where I'm going with this, is depending on the name, it kind of also adds another layer of confidence. So, when I pick up that lipstick that says Poderosa, or, it's like, that's how I'm going to start out my day. Right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. I know words are very, very powerful. And sometimes it's a good thing and sometimes it's a bad thing, because sometimes it's a good thing, like the example that you just gave. Well, I see a lipstick that's named Poderosa, and you just feel like, oh yeah, today I'm gonna have a good day. Right. But if somebody says something to you and it's not a positive thing, and then you just try to you start internalizing about it, and that's when words are powerful too, in a negative way, and it affects you. And I think working on just learning to love who you are, and just reminding yourself that you are worthy, and reminding yourself that it doesn't matter what other people think about you. Right. Like those are gonna go bye-bye. And then, right. Oh, girl, you're speaking my language. Yeah, and then just internalizing the positive ones.
Right. Right. So do you have a process? Do you and your sister have a process when you're naming some of the items that you have launched?
Yeah. So when we just started with 5 matte liquid lipsticks. So we first we were trying to figure out, okay, so what we're going to launch with. I'm obsessed with lipsticks, and that's where we started. Okay. Every time that I buy something, it's just lipstick. That's all the majority of the things that I have is lipstick. So that's where we started. So we started with 5 shades. And because we wanted to incorporate our Hispanic culture, and we wanted to have like mixed names, because we speak English and Spanish, but we just wanted to make that noted. So let's see. So we have 5 shades, and one is a purple one, and we named that Lula, and it's because that's my niece name, her nickname. So her name is Luella, and she likes purple. So that's why we named that Lula. And then we have one that's called Aurora, and it's a pink, mauvey, beautiful color. And that one is named after my grandma and after my younger niece. That's her middle name too, because that's based on her grandma. And then we have a red shade I always just call it the perfect red, and it's called Mommy, because when you wear it, you just like a hot mommy. Right? So yeah, so sometimes it's hard to like come up with names, but when you have an idea of what you want this to mean, sometimes it just comes to you, but sometimes it's like, it takes a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. I love that. Melissa, I always like asking too a little bit about like, what are your goals, or what is the vision that you see, that for anybody that's listening or watching, so how they know how to help you and support you?
Well, people just can help me by just sharing about Ella's Eve, sharing about our message, and sharing about, it's a Latina-owned brand, because there's not a lot of Latina-owned brands out there. They are starting to emerge, because when we first started, I saw some of them that were coming up, and that's great and amazing, and they all have their own thing going on. So, and there's always room for everybody. So that excited me, and I wanted to be part of that community. So just sharing about us, sharing about that it's a Latino brand, sharing about that we're just sharing positivity and just creating that culture of loving who you are as you are. I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, I love that. And you know what? You said something so key that I want to emphasize for everyone who is here with us, is that there's room for everyone.
Yeah.
And I think that this is why I love doing this work, because I love, really promoting and moving the narrative forward, that we're stronger together, we can support each other. And, even though I may do something similar, like I'm still going to promote you, because, there's no reason why I can't, right? Or any of us can't help each other.
Yeah. And then, and it's sometimes, I think sometimes people find it hard because either, they might see you as a competition, or not necessarily as a competition, but they just don't want you. They just don't want anybody else there. They just want to be that one person. And I just feel like, I don't want, I always said, knock on wood, that if I do ever make it big, like, I just feel like, and I'm not bragging, I'm just, saying that if it happens,
you will. You and your sister will.
it happens,
when I make it,
yeah, exactly. Positive thinking. When I make it, like, whoever wants to like approach me and talk to me, how do you start a brand and what do you do? Like, I'm just gonna be welcoming and just have open doors, because that's all about building a community. Because I don't believe in putting other women down. Like, I think sometimes as human, and I'm not saying that I'm not perfect, but and I guess in some ways I have in the past, like as a human being, but I just do not. It doesn't settle well with me when another woman is putting down another woman, because first of all, sometimes we are the minority as a woman in some type of business, and I feel like if you are excelling at what you're doing and you're good at it, why am I not gonna be supportive of you? Why am I not gonna share about you? Like, look, Domenica has this podcast, like, you should listen to it. So that, I love community. I love, like, just bringing other women up. That's just what I love.
You know what? And that's it right there. That's like the secret sauce. Like, that is what I attribute to my career being so successful, is just leading with that vision and that thought of just, if I have the puzzle piece to your success, I'm definitely going to give it to you. So, like, if I come across something that, if someone's trying to find, new faces in the Latina market for, cosmetics, I'm going to call you, like, or if there's a podcaster that I've met, I'm going to like let them know about you. And I think, lots of times I talk about the difference between somebody that just claps for you and then someone that is your advocate. And that advocate is, you want people in your space to say, like, hey, I know so-and-so when you're not present. And I think both are great, right? I think I love, my friends that are just like, yeah, girl, I can never do what you're doing. And then I'm so even more grateful for the friends that say, hey, I told so-and-so about you.
Yeah.
I think I had a friend call me that I've met through this type of work. I love her, Tanzania. Shout out to her sister entrepreneurs. She called me from Washington, D.C. and said, hey, Domenica, Voyager LA, I told them about you. They should be giving you a call. And that right there, friend, like, that's the secret, right?
Yeah. And I think I feel like I got that way too, with experience and also meeting people, because when I first started here, I reached out. There's a local Latino makeup artist that at first I was kind of scared in reaching out to him, because he's very well known, like, and I didn't know if he was gonna be open to like meeting with me and just so we can collab in some way. And he turned out to be the nicest person. And one of the things that he shared with me is, like, he likes helping people, especially Latino people, because when he first started, nobody was helping him. And he said that he didn't want to be like that. I always remember that, because I said, I want to be like that too. I don't want to be closing doors for other people. I don't want to be treating them differently just because I'm in a certain position or they're in a certain, like, I just settle with me what he said, and I always carry that with me. And we're friends now.
I love it. That's a great example, right? Like,
yeah.
That's amazing. And I think that definitely when people like that cross your path, you hold on to them, because it's really something special when, someone just gives away their heart and says, yeah, I can help you, or I can tell you how I did this. Yeah. I think it's amazing. So do you have any products to show us?
Yes, I do. I'm wearing one right now.
Okay.
That it's out of stock though.
Okay.
but it's coming. It's coming.
That's okay.
But I'm wearing our lip lacquer. So this is our high shine. It's a hybrid between a lip gloss and a lipstick. So it's glossy, but it's very, very pigmented. And I'm wearing the one in Boat Night, and this is what it looks like. So it's like a very, Berry, which is the
I
shades that
love
I
it.
tend to go for.
Yes.
And then we have our palette here, which is a Make It
Okay.
Your Eve palette. So it's a 15 color eyeshadow palette. And the theme, when we were working on this, the theme was confidence and empowering. And if you look at the names for the shades, it's like you were mentioning Poderosa when you were talking about the lipstick. We have smart and worthy and powerful and classy and witty and loving. So it was just like every time that you see you're reaching to any of these shades, it's just a positive word to remind you, like an affirmation to remind you who you are and what you're capable of doing. So that's why this is like my baby.
I love it.
Yeah. And then we also have matte liquid lipsticks, which are these over here. This is the Aurora shade, which is the name after my niece and my grandma. And it is just it's a matte finish. So when you apply it, it's very velvety, very creamy, and then dries as a matte. It does not dry your lips, which is why I love my formula. This is very comfy, very, very lightweight. And it's not 100% non-transferable. It's like there's minimal transfer to it, because you know how you see those ads about like, oh, you can take it off. And I'm not a fan of those, because if you think about it, what you're putting in your, like, what are they putting in that it doesn't make it rub off? Like, it's just like a lot of harsh ingredients that are probably gonna dry up your lips and your skin, and that's not fun.
Yeah, and you know what? That's a good point, because I know that I've tried lipstick shades that have that, and I end up with it caked on my lips at the end of the day, and it just feels so yucky. So then after I realized that that's how my lips were taking to this type of ingredient, I just stayed away from them, because it's like, well, you know, I could get the benefits of having it last all day, but then at the end of the day, it just felt like not so great to have like, it felt like little piles of lipstick on me.
Yeah. And I own some of those products from different brands, because of course I'm gonna buy other brands. I love buying makeup every time. And yeah, it doesn't settle well with, it just dries my lips, and it just like, you know, like when it feels like you're shrinking, like it's just shrinking.
Yeah, definitely.
This does not do that.
That's great. I love that. That's so cool. So is there any other thing that you have in the horizon that we can look for, that you're gonna like, whether it be a lipstick shade or something else?
Yeah. So right now we've been like a little bit MIA from being as active on our social media, because we are working on changes. So like LSE is gonna be changing a little bit. Because it makes sense. I can tell still, I cannot talk about it still, because it's still in the process and I'm trying to make it work. It's something that makes sense, because we want to be able to be more inclusive, and of course celebrating all diversity and celebrating Latina women and celebrating every type of women. But also I'm always going to be mindful where I'm coming, you know, where I came from. So that's always going to be part of the brand.
I love it.
But also, yeah, we are participating in a pitching competition, local. So that's that's where my focus is right now.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's exciting.
Because, you know, there's a big prize, and then if I win that prize, then I will be able to do what I'm trying to do with the brand. So right now my focus is that, but eventually, yes, we will be adding different products, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's exciting. Yeah. All right. So definitely keep us updated. We'll be rooting for you. We'll be sending you good juju and all that.
Thank you. Yes, bring me all that good juju.
Right? Yeah. You know, Melissa, when you sent me your bio, I thought, oh, I'm going to have her talk a little bit about the name, the meaning behind the name. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. So when we were coming up with the name, it's Alice Eve. So it's a combination of our niece's name, because we love our nieces to death.
Yeah.
So it's Luella and Evelyn. So that's a combination. But it also means, that's the family business type of thing. But when it comes to branding, Ella's Eve means it's make it your Eve. Like, it's your moment to shine in whatever occasion that you are doing, like whether it is at going to a job interview, whether it is going to a date, or just hanging out with friends and family, just shining and just being who you are. So just make it your own, make it your eve, make it your moment. So that's what it means. But it also it's like 3 meanings. And also if you read it in Spanish, it says ella se ve. So if you put it all together, ella se ve. So she sees herself. So again, it plays along with our Latinidad and our bilingual, because we speak English and Spanish, and we want to put that together too. And that's how it came to be.
I love that. I love it, love it, love it. Thank you for sharing that. I always like, talking about the meaning behind names, because even with, my own name, people are like, I've never heard it, or what did it come from? So I think, just knowing the meaning is very powerful. So thank you for sharing that. And then, what I wanted to ask you too is that, is there something that surprised you about when you decided, whether it be you and your sister or together, when you said, okay, we're going to do this, was there a barrier that you encountered or something that was surprising? You're like, I got to change this in this industry.
Yeah. So, well, I think I'm going to say in the industry and personal. So in the industry, it's that every time that you look at an ad, it's always the same thing. It's always like, oh, you're supposed to look like this. This is what you're supposed to look like. In reality, that's not it. Like, it's not the way it is. And there's women with all different shapes, all different sizes, all different skin tones, all different beauties. Like, there's just different beauty in every person. And I think that's not as depicted in beauty or in ads or TV or everything. And I wanted to change that. I wanted to, like, I feel like I haven't had like a lot of impact in it, but that's where I'm working, taking a little bit of a break somehow and trying to figure out how to do it and trying to celebrate other women, just bring them, bring up who they are. And then personal, I wanted to share this because it surprised me. So when we first started, one of the things that like I mentioned earlier, like I'm very shy, I'm very quiet, and I just don't want to put myself out there. And when we first started, it was just pictures of the products, like you can rarely see a picture of me wearing the lipstick or putting myself on the IG live or doing interviews like this, or like I just did not do it that because I don't want to put myself. It would be too vulnerable for me to put myself out there. And then what if somebody doesn't like me? What if somebody says this comment about me? Or what if somebody, something, just the negative thoughts coming in. And then it was after like the 2.5 years into the brand that I said, okay, we need to change this, because I keep hearing where people want to know who the founder of the brand is so they can connect with that brand and connect with the person. And then also I need to spread the message that I wanted to spread, which is building up other women, sharing about diversity, sharing about Latino women, and just sharing about confidence. The only way I can do that is if I put myself out there. Otherwise, it's not going to make any sense.
Right.
So I just started working on, putting myself out there. I've been grateful that I've been invited, like you, like I've been invited to talk about the brand and talk about me and talk about, confidence, and that builds my confidence up, and that helps me spread the message and just helps getting out of my little bubble and just learning.
Right. No, I love that you share that, because I feel like it's something important that, I have a lot of next generation, first generation that follows Chicana Inc. And I always hear that is, thank you for, asking the questions, because lots of times we don't talk about that. And when these kids do, it's always with friends, and they're not necessarily getting the wisdom for somebody that has lived it, right? And I felt like in my own journey through entrepreneurship, and really, like you said it earlier too, like I didn't wake up thinking, oh, I'm going to do this. When I was really into the industry and cosmetics and beauty, I said, oh, I didn't wake up thinking I was going to be a consultant, in this company. And it just kind of happened. And I fell in love with, the confidence that it gave people. And, offline, I shared the story of the women that, a friend said, hey, can you go? And I have someone that needs some lipstick matching. And I said, sure, I'll go help. And I was at her kitchen table and she started crying. And I was like, oh my God, what did I do? And, she was, only Spanish speaking. And she was like, oh no, mija. She's like, es que, that her husband had recently passed away. And this was the first time that she was wearing makeup because he didn't allow her to wear makeup. And so the last time she wore makeup was when she was 16, before she became her, boyfriend and girlfriend with him. Up until that moment, like 30, 40 years later, because he passed. And that was such a significant moment for me, because I thought, oh my gosh, I can help change this.
Yeah.
And, we had this amazing conversation about she's going to help her daughters wear more makeup. And it was not about that. Yes, it helped her feel more beautiful, but it wasn't that she didn't think she was beautiful. It was just that moment of seeing herself in a different way and enhancing her features and her confidence, and saying someone is actually taking the time and sitting with me, and we're just here playing with makeup. And wasn't threatening. She wasn't at a Macy's with a woman that didn't look like her, that didn't speak her language. It was, somebody that was, from the neighborhood, the barrio that looked like her barrio. And so it was I just fell in love with being able to do that. And then knowing that I could make some major money here, And so I thought wow, I got to pursue this and see where it's going to take me. And I feel that lots of times, that stepping out of our comfort zone, is really where the gift is, is that transformation of, what we were to who we can become by just saying, okay, this is bigger than me. My purpose is, this, and I'm going to step into that. And then all of a sudden when you blink, you're there, right?
Yeah. I love that you share that, because, there are people that when you see, sometimes people don't think of makeup like that. They just think oh, makeup is done. Why do you put all this stuff in your face? Or, but the story that you just shared, which is a beautiful story, is just a perfect example of the power of color. It is a perfect, because it's not just makeup. Makeup just means it means something different to every person. And that's why I love it.
Yeah, I love it. And I think it's a great opportunity to also have the connections, make some really great memories. Because I know that one of my favorite things to do is when my niece comes over and she's doing nail polish, we're doing makeovers, and it's I find it so amazing that we can share that. And that's something that I didn't get a chance to do with my mom, because she, didn't put at the forefront, because I think it is a form of self-care, right? Being able to do, cleansing and, whatever skincare routine, you like. And then adding the cherry on top, which is the color. I advocate for it to, be compared to self-care, because I feel like it is, right? And, it was through this journey of following this and seeing where is it going to lead me? Well, it helped me pay off all my student loans. I paid off my car. Yeah. What else did I do with it? Oh, all my credit cards, I paid off just focusing on selling lipstick, cosmetics, and then skincare. And so it really gave me an opportunity to, get out of debt, learn how to get out of debt, because I was studying, my mentors in the company were women that were making $1 million, selling, lipstick. And they built a following and they wanted to teach it. They're like, this is how, makeup and skincare got me to have a better life. And, I remember the first speech that I heard from a woman that was high up in the company. She was in a domestic abusive relationship, and she saved all the money, from doing facials while her husband was asleep in her apartment complex to get out of that relationship. And I think, like you said it, not a lot of people, when they see, makeup, they don't go past it. and everything that it can do for nuestra comunidad, or females in general.
Again, power of color.
Right. So Melissa, as we're wrapping up our time together, time flies, girl, because the conversation is so good. But definitely, we'll have you back as a guest and get an updates on everything that you're doing. Is there anything that you kind of want to touch on that we haven't talked about?
No, I just wanted to thank you for having me, and it was an amazing conversation. I just love learning other people's stories and about confidence and about their journey and about their journey through confidence. I just love learning, and thank you for sharing your story with me too. And thank you again for having me. I'm very, very excited that we did this.
Yeah, of course. And then, for everyone, we didn't mention, tell everyone where you're connecting from.
Oh, I'm where am I? Michigan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in Michigan.
Yeah, so I think that's important because I'm in California.
Yeah.
And so, I think it's going to open up a big demographic, a big community of hermanas, here in this area that are willing to, stand by your side and support you, girl, because I think what you're doing is amazing. And I think we need to branch out to the East Coast. So I look forward to seeing in the future how else we can collaborate. But before we end, I want you to hold on. So don't log off, but let everyone know how they can connect with you, the brand. Where can they shop?
Yeah, so you can visit our website. It's ellisevecosmetics.com. You can follow us on Instagram at ellisevecosmetics, and also Facebook, same thing, Ellis Eve Cosmetics. And then we also on TikTok as Ellis Eve Cosmetics. So, if you can just share about us, we would greatly appreciate it.
I love it. Well, Melissa, thank you for being my guest, and everyone who is either watching us or listening to us, thank you again for joining us in this conversation. Depending on where you're tuning in, drop us a comment, go to Melissa's, profiles with Ella's Eve and let her know what you loved about the interview. Let her know that you saw her here and show her some love. And so until the next episode, we will see you then. All right, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.